We good? We're good. Yes, people, how you doing? Welcome back to, 3 channels tonight. I was about to say the Spurs Talk Show, but you are on the Spurs Talk Show. You are also on Henry Wright TV and the Irish Hotspur. We're trying to multi-stream. There's a lot to talk about. We've got about 19 topics, a little bit of transfer news, views, and clues, a little bit about Tottenham's security as a football club and whether we're going to be handed some sort of punishment for alleged indiscretions 14 years ago. And we got a little bit in between, back with the dynamic duo that is Henry Wright and Dave Harris. I'll start with you, Dave. How you doing, my man?
Yeah, I'm doing good. Never a dull day as a Spurs fan. It's always exciting. There's always something. Like I said before, when Tottenham are doing well, the whole corporation will try and pull us down. That's exactly what's happening here, lad.
100%. Never a dull day. Henry, how are you, buddy?
Yeah, same as Dave, mate. I'm good. There's never a dull moment. I always say that all I want is a normal day as a Tottenham fan, but this kind of is normality now. Every single day on this earth, there is something different with this football club. Every single day. It's never, just a breeze where we know what's going to happen. It's just a bit of a circus, isn't it? Left, right, and centre. There's news coming out, whether it's transfers or only getting indicted. Daniel Levy talking to fans, transfer news, this. But yeah, I'm good, mate. Make sure you like the video, as it says down there. On all 3 streams, subscribe to all 3 channels. And if you can't
there's some rules, guys. There's some rules. We're trying this for the first time. As you know, about a couple of weeks ago, Henry and I tried a multi-stream thing, and it went well. We think it went well. It was pretty seamless. So we're gonna expand it out to triple stream threat. And here's the game. What we ask of you, each of us, whichever channel that you have come in via, if you found me, or if you found Henry, or if you found Dave, wherever you've come in from, stick to that channel, because that is the channel in which you entered. However, in the title of each of our videos, there will be the link to the other 2 people's channel, and it's imperative, and it's a must that you click on those links. They should open up new tabs. Just smash the subscribe button if you haven't already on the other 2's channels, and then close them down and stay where you are, so that the channel that was the recipient of your attention can maintain it. That would be wonderful if you guys are okay with that. Yeah, but smash the likes on all the channels, smash the subscribes, and make sure you speak to each other nicely in the chat, as we always try to do. We can see everybody's comments, but if you are on one person's channel, you won't necessarily be able to see all the comments we get up, but we're going to bring up as many as we can so you can see the whole conversation. We're going to start off. We got plenty to talk about today, guys. We're going to start off with, obviously, the news that came out a little bit earlier on. I'm just going to bring it up for you and read through it as quickly as I can, and then get the guys' opinions. This is the Daily Mail's take on it. The Times were I think it was Matthew Lawton, I think his name is the guy that broke the story via the Times, but that's behind a paywall, so we're going to use the Daily Mail. Tottenham face serious allegations of breaching transfer rules over Jermaine Defoe's move to Portsmouth in 2008, with the FA prepared to review evidence after initially taking no action. Tottenham are facing allegations of breaching transfer rules during Jermaine Defoe's switch to Portsmouth in 2008, with the FA saying it is prepared to review evidence after initially taking no action for 15 years. A report from the Times has claimed that Spurs could find themselves in hot water after evidence appears to show that they used an unlicensed agent in negotiations that saw Defoe complete a £7.5 million move to Pompey. At the time, the FA decided to take no action against Tottenham, but English football's governing body has revealed it would consider looking back into the allegations if new evidence is suggested. Breaching FA rules on agents has led to clubs being hit with points deductions in the past. Suspensions for directors and transfer bans have been imposed. In that same very year, Luton Town were docked 10 points for breaking the agent rules. The case was heard by an independent arbitration panel 15 years ago. A spokesman for the FA said, the FA, let me try and get this out without being hit on the ads. The FA was not a party to the arbitration. It is unclear how much information was shared with the FA at the time, and no disciplinary action was taken. If there is new evidence which was not available at the time and which suggests serious breaches of our rules took place, we will review it. The report from the Times claims that former West Ham and Tottenham player Mitchell Thomas, who was a central figure in Defoe's move to Portsmouth, was an unlicensed agent at the time. It has been claimed that Tottenham chairman Levy, Defoe, and then Spurs manager Harry Redknapp all dealt with Thomas during the deal. FA regulations at the time that are still in place today stipulated that players and clubs are not allowed to use unlicensed agents to complete transfer deals. The report goes on to claim that failure to comply with these rules can result in serious sanctions, with relegation even a possibility. The FA reportedly decided to take no action in January 2010, despite having access to detailed phone records and knowing that Thomas had played a part in helping seal Defoe's move to Fratton Park. As they claimed, Wembley officials did not have all of the relevant documentation at the time. One FA executive is even said to have not been made aware of Defoe case at the time. Thomas was named by the FA in 2008 in a list of agents that had been operating without the appropriate license. Tottenham ended up finishing fourth in the 2009-2010 campaign, ahead of Manchester City to qualify for the Champions League, the first time they qualified for the European Cup, as it was previously known, since 1962. Tottenham declined to comment when approached. Pretty simple in terms of trying to figure out. Basically, they're saying, Dave, I'll start with you. Basically, they're saying the FA are trying to say they looked into it, but they didn't necessarily know what all there was to know. If there's more to know now than there was then they'll review it. And ultimately, relegation is a possibility. Points deductions are a possibility. And there is a case in point in Luton that got done for the same things. I mean, it's a little bit weird, isn't it? If you didn't know enough then, but suddenly 16 years later, there's more information to come out. I mean, what are we dealing with here, Dave?
Look, Tottenham are doing well. I think they realised that, the house is about to fall with City and Chelsea, and they realised that Tottenham will then be in pole position to go and win the Premier League. So they want to pull us down with it. But no, in all seriousness, I do think, look, it stinks of a guy, what's his name, Sky Andrews. That's the guy that that Defoe was originally dealing with or something like that. And it stinks of, not Sky Andrews, Thomas. And it stinks of someone not getting money that they think they're owed or something like that. And since then, he's pursuing it. And that's why I think this is coming back around, because he keeps wanting to pursue it. But look, as far as I'm aware, I think Daniel Levy did bring in a licensed agent to get the deal over the line. Some guy called Peters or something like that. So I'm not sure where the morality sort or the legality sort of sits around Tottenham. I think the legality around Tottenham is where you have to put some sort of what's it called? I get it for you now. Basically, you have to put some sort of representation forward to the FA with a licensed agent. And I don't think Tottenham done that, even though they did bring in a licensed agent to get the deal over the line. So I think that's where it falls in on Tottenham Hotspur. But this is a case was heard 15 years ago. The FA didn't do anything about it. They didn't deem it worthy to do anything about it. And I think it's all because Everton are kicking up a fuss at the minute. Rightly so. They were harshly done by. But, you hear them coming out now going, Tottenham tried to take advantage of our financial situation. I mean, what club doesn't? What club doesn't do that to other clubs? And now it just thinks of, we better find something on them. And to be honest with you, I'm sick of it. They're going after all the small fish, for the misdemeanors. What about the big fish? Chelsea, Man City, look at the way they operate. Why is there all of a sudden a big, massive focus on the little clubs? I don't understand it. For me, it stinks. I don't think that will come out of it. There's no way you can charge Tottenham for something that happened 15 years ago. You can't punish them with a points deduction. You transfer ban, you would argue, is harsh. Might slap a fine on us, I think, worst case scenario. Because if they open up this can of worms, where does it stop? How far does it go? How many years do they go back? And it's just going to sink the whole ship. So I don't think there'll be too much coming of this, to be brutally honest.
Dave, before I bring Henry, just quickly, just so I know, I didn't know your take. I didn't hear your take on, if you spoke about it at all, on the news about Everton this week. Me personally, I put a video out talking about Chelsea and City and Everton, and my take was pretty clear that if rules were broken, then rules need to be adhered to and punishments need to be applied. Otherwise, rules are pointless. And so I feel like a little bit like the gods of fate and destiny have come back in and slapped me around the face with a kipper, because now I have to keep the same energy for Tottenham. Now, I don't know the details here, but I would say I have to keep the same energy. If Tottenham did breach rules and got away with it then, and there's no kind of time lapse, then I feel like I have to keep the same energy as I did with Everton and with City and Chelsea. If rules have been broken, I think the punishments are fine and fair. I'm surprised by it, but just want to know before I come to Henry, did you speak about the Everton thing? Do you think the whole Everton thing is a joke as well, or do you think that they should be punished? What's your take on that one?
Oh, look, I think the whole Everton one comes about for different reasons altogether. That's more to do with them failing to sort of balance their books, right? I mean, that's on them. They know the financial fair play rules are there to adhere to. So, yeah, they do deserve to be punished. And that's why they're moaning now, saying, well, if we would have paid, if they would have got what they originally wanted for Richarlison, they wouldn't have fallen into the financial fair play trap. So they're sort of blaming Tottenham for it. But look, the reason why I feel sorry for Everton is because you've got Man City, Chelsea, you know, teams like that who seem to operate without any laws, without any sanctions, this, that, and the other, and never really get any slap on the wrist or anything like that. But then you've got Everton penalised straight away, even though they know that they're in a relegation fight from the start of the season. So I can understand, you know, where Everton fans feel harsh. And I do feel sorry for Everton because there's a lot bigger fish that the Premier League could fry. But they're choosing not to. They're choosing to sort of not go near the top because they bring in the most money. And, you know, they're choosing to go after little fish. I do not like that whatsoever. If you're going to go after Everton and hold them to the rules, then every other club, you know, should be held to the rules regardless of size or stature. But ours is a little bit different.
Henry, I don't know what your take was on the Everton situation. I don't know if you spoke about it on your channel or on others you've been on. At least before you get into this particular story, if you do have an opinion on the Everton thing, let us know, you know, what your case was there, and then if you're going to keep the same energy or how you feel.
At the end of the day, if you break the rules, you break the rules. I do think eventually Manchester City will get there will be backlash from this, but Everton had one clause they broke, so it's been going on for 2.5 years, maybe 3 years. It's back when they signed James Rodriguez, so it's been going on for quite a long time. But Manchester City is a different kettle of fish. You're looking at 115 charges. That's not going to be sorted out in a year or two. You're looking at up to a decade. By the time they review every single transaction, every single player that's been on their books, every single clause in players' contracts. The same as Chelsea. That's going back to when they signed Willian back in 2014, 2015, when he could have been a Tottenham player. Everton, look, you break the rules, you break the rules. If we've broken the rules, then there's got to be some level of punishment. The only thing I would say is it's been 15 years and no one's batted an eyelid about this. So the evidence, the new evidence that they have found has got to be legit big evidence. If we have used an unlicensed agent, then we are going to get slapped with either a hefty fine.
But they already know this, though, Henry. You know, they've already spoke about they had phone records back there in the 2008 case, whenever it was. You know, they had all the phone records to prove that he was, you know, Daniel Levy was negotiating with him to broker the deal.
Well, yeah. Well, right. if that's true,
so what new evidence could they possibly have?
What precisely?
Well, they mentioned in the article here that they say that at least one FA intermediary says that he wasn't aware of certain things then that he was aware of now. That sounds like a David Dean type thing, doesn't it? How many FA intermediaries have been around since 2008 that are still in power now? You know, people with
one thing I will say on this is if Luton did a similar thing and got a 10-point deduction, every single Tom, Dick, and Harry is going to be asking them for the same thing for us. Now, 100%. Everton, with their 10-point deduction, you probably say this is one of the only seasons. Well, even with a 10-point deduction, they probably will stay up because they're a better side than Luton. They're better than Sheffield United, and I reckon they'll finish anywhere between 12th and 15th. However,
they'll be fine. They'll be fine this year.
Deduction, that's the difference between us finishing in Europe and us finishing 8th or 9th.
Look, what would be even weirder, though, I don't remember the details, and forgive us. I don't know if you two have, but I don't know where Portsmouth finished that particular year. Did Jermaine Defoe do very well at Portsmouth? And if so, did the fact that transfer took place, and could you make the connection that had that agent not been involved, the deal might not have happened? And if that deal happening did help Portsmouth in a way that relegated other clubs, just like Everton are being sued right now for 300 million from the 3 clubs that went down, could this be a snowball effect? And I'm obviously being hyperbolic here, but I don't know what's going on. could there be a situation where the three club, if Portsmouth, I haven't done my due diligence, but if Portsmouth did stay up as a consequence of Jermaine Defoe's goals, then could the three teams that went down find a way to litigate us after the fact as well?
There was a case years ago, wasn't there, with the surrounding the West Ham and Carlos Tevez transfer. He kept them up, and I think Sheffield United went to sue West Ham. I could be wrong, but I think they ended up losing that lawsuit, I think, if I'm correct. But there was already a case around that, and it didn't have any detrimental impact to West Ham going forward whatsoever. They were just able to continue to operate the way they were. So I don't see it having any detrimental impact. To be honest with you, it stinks of an agent trying to do things roguely, didn't want to go and get his license, and has been cut out of the deal. That absolutely stinks of that. And look, if Tottenham are guilty, where Tottenham will be guilty is there's something you're supposed to supply to the FA when you do have a licensed agent in place. We didn't supply that. If we're guilty, I'll take the slap on the wrist. We move on. I don't think there'll be too much more fallout from it, this, that, and the other. I can't see it happening. It's like they say it's big because, the clause that they're supposed to submit to the FA is to keep integrity in and around the transfer market, this, that, and the other. So potentially worse, I think you might get a slap with a transfer ban, which will become detrimental. That means dire, and all likes will get contract renewals and everything else. So we definitely don't want a transfer ban.
Let me ask you this, though, right? What's worse? I know that morality is an irrelevant thing when it comes to the laws of the game, but Manchester United, I don't know if anyone even knew this, but Manchester United got hit with a fine of 330,000 euros
6 months ago.
6 months ago in June or July, I think it was, for breaching financial fair play in the 2020 COVID season. They lost, I'm not sure the details, but I think they actually ended up losing more money than Everton are alleged to have actually overspent by, because the 2020 season had additional losses baked into the rules as anomalies because of the COVID situation. But Manchester United got away with it. They called it a minimal breach with a 300 grand fine, which is 1 week of Jadon Sancho's wages, right?
So it's not even pocket change for Man United.
It's irrelevant. It's 1 week of a player that you don't even allow into your kitchen for a sandwich at lunchtime on a Monday.
Pays off Phil Jones' wages for the week.
It's mad.
What's that, Dave?
Pays off Phil Jones' wages for the week. That guy sat there for years on his big contract.
100%, exactly. So I don't know if there is consistency. I don't know what's worse. I don't know why an unlicensed agent is deemed to be the same as overspend or having too much losses. Let's press pause for a second. Let's get Al Ben super chat in. Big up Al Ben. The FA seems to worry about everything else, but to get to the bottom of City's 115 charges, I think. Yeah. Seem to be scared of City, their money and their lawyers. Listen, I think just to be fair, I think that's still an ongoing case. I don't think that that's being written off or it's being dismissed. I think it's just an ongoing thing. So I don't know, but listen, you hope that there's, if Manchester City are guilty of more than at least one of those, then they should have the book thrown at them. I want the rules to be applied. I want everyone to be applied. But what I would say, I'll come to you on this one, Henry. If Pep Guardiola and Manchester City's owners have come out and said, in spite of their 115 charges, that they are encouraging an audit of all of the clubs of the Premier League, but they want this. And I'll be entirely honest, I said it 2 days ago, I wanted it too. And then within 24 hours, 48 hours, Tottenham are suddenly under the spotlight as well. Then what does that say? If the person that you look up to and go, they are probably the biggest protagonists of bending, breaking the rules, and they want a full audit of every single club in the 20 in the Premier League, going back to however many years before today. Does that tell you that they're confident that this is going to be rife throughout the Premier League?
My unpopular opinion in this is that Man City won't get any fines. They won't break any rules. And then when everyone else gets investigated, you'll see a lot of other clubs that have done some dodgy dealings over the years. Manchester City, I read the report months ago when it first came out, and it was all about that players from 2011 to 2015, they just didn't show some of the relevant paperwork to the FA or other governing bodies. If Man City are coming out saying, we're fine, but while you're doing us, let's just investigate the rest of the Premier League. That being said, a few days later, Everton, bang, a financial fair play rule that's been broken, bang, Tottenham are under the spotlight. Next, it will be Chelsea, then Liverpool, then Arsenal. And all of a sudden, it becomes a domino effect, and everyone quietly wants this to go away. Now, I like, not being a conspiracy theorist, I think that when the FA look at the bigger clubs and look at what teams are bringing in more money into the Premier League, they'll turn a blind eye to certain things. It's just like the way Alex Ferguson used to have referees in his pocket. Howard Webb, be like 2 minutes added on, and you play him for nearly a flipping 15 minutes, just so United get a last minute goal. You know, I think there's an element of, it's not corruption, but it's bending certain rules to suit different football clubs. You know, there's no way Man City have got that much confidence and that big a chest to come out and say, yeah, we're fine with that, but look at everyone else. They're going to have something up their sleeve.
They're calling the bluff, Henry. They're hoping that once they come out and say that, everyone else runs into their closets and hides away. That's what they want. And they know they're at the point, right? They've got, 150 charges stacked up against them, to Al Ben's point, which I do agree with Al Ben, by the way. You know, why aren't they going after the bigger clubs? I take Sean's point and your point, Henry, that because of, you know, the amount of them, it might take a little bit longer. I can get that. But the reason why Man City are doing this is because, well, if we go down, we're taking the whole lot with us. You know?
This ship's sinking.
Yeah, that's basically what they're doing. And they're hoping that by doing that, the right people will make this go away. Look, let's be honest about it. If FIFA's been corrupt and they've been proven to be corrupt, let's not think that all the other leagues, that there's not stuff going on in other leagues. Of course there is. You know, it's just been very, very well hidden. You look at the corruption of the Serie A when it was the big time league and stuff like that. You know, where there's money, there's always going to be some sort of corruption. Always. It's always been the way. Even in the world where there's big money, big corporations, there's big corruption. It's just the way of the world. And I think Man City are trying to gamble on that. It'll be, you know, well, you're going to take us down, you have to take down the whole Premier League. And I don't think the FA will want to fight that battle.
So just to round this story off, because we have got a lot of other things to get through. At this stage, it's just a Matt Lawton article. I'm listen. I trust the comments implicitly with their knowledge, and there are a lot of people here are saying that it's Matt Lawton. He's dangerous towards Tottenham. He hates Tottenham. I think he's Arsenal and stuff. And maybe it's all smoke without fire. But if you were to hazard a guess, guys, obviously we haven't got anything more to go on right now apart from what the FA have said, that if there's more evidence, then they'll look into it. Do you foresee anything coming of this? Henry?
Sorry, mate. I thought you said Dave.
I think I'll start with you. Yeah.
I think the story will grow. I think there's legs to it, and I think eventually this will be settled in some sort of court. There's no way that, you know, all these big news outlets are talking about it. It will be settled in court in the next couple of months. But the thing is now is there's a little bit of bad PR about the football club. And as soon as there's bad PR, that eventually breathes into the changing room and eventually onto the football pitch. As soon as it can go one or two ways, because Man City had the 115 charges and they went, all right, screw it. We're going to beat everyone. We're going to go and win a treble. But it can also go the other way where it happened to, was it Barcelona? And they completely fell off a cliff. So we'll see what the football club's made of. At the end of the day,
Juventus, as Amy's saying here, Juventus took the charges on the chin.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
There's a weird amount
each way. You can go on a
weird amount of different catalysts, different precedents that have been set here, Henry. You know, like Rangers were sent back to the Stone Age. Juventus were relegated one division. Other clubs
they went down to the flipping the third division in Scotland, and they went, see you later. We'll go straight back up, and they got consecutive promotions, and then won the SPL again. You know, it just seems to be that when there's good PR about the football club, we're doing well. Even when we've got so many injuries, we're 2 points off top. We're the best start to a season ever in the Premier League, and then bang, this story comes out of nowhere. It's almost like they just want to pull you back down.
Yeah, I do. Yeah,
it's also on top of the insider trading charges at Joe Lewis as well, which, you know, from the aesthetics point of view, it doesn't look too good, does it? It sort of opens you up with the insider trading charges and this. It opens you up to be investigated. It opens up every move you've made, you know, everything else for full investigation. Look, I don't think we'll be dealt with too heavily. I think the FA will be too embarrassed to go back on what their original decision was 15 years ago. But I just want to say a big up, Al Ben, my man. Really do appreciate the support, lad.
To who?
Al Ben. The guy you sent.
Oh, yeah, big up Al Ben. Big up Al Ben. We got a couple more super chats to get through. Before we do, guys, in the total people watching this stream right now across all 3 channels is over 7. We've got 720 odd people watching. If everybody, wherever you are watching this, if you're watching this on Henry's or mine or Dave's, if you can make sure that you please smash the like button on the channel you're watching, and then go to the title of the video, and then click the 2 other channels. If you haven't already, then pop up the next tab, smash the likes on those channels, and hit the subscribes if you haven't. Then everyone can benefit, or the 3 of us can benefit from all of your loyalty to our channels. We really appreciate it. Another super chat here before we move on with the story. Actually, I do have one more question to ask you guys about Daniel Levy on the basis of this before we move on with the story. But Sinclair's here saying, if found guilty, should Daniel Levy hand in his resignation? Do you know what? The perfect segue, right? So I said yesterday, you know what? Like I say, it always comes back to bite me when I come out and defend Daniel Levy in a video.
Defend him. You had him on top of your chest, mate. You're walking around with Levy's head on you.
Well, listen, I said, I'll own it. I own it. I said, there's a lot of people in the Tottenham community who are looking for any reason to bash Daniel Levy. When these sorts of things happen to Everton, when these sorts of things happen to Manchester City and Chelsea, is it not pretty much like in a little ribbon and a bow, you pull it tight and you know that Daniel Levy hasn't broken rules, and within 24 hours, out comes a story that suggests that he was complicit in a deal that he knew was not complicit with the rules. And so I'll ask you, Dave, does Daniel Levy take the L on this? And to Sinclair's question, if he's found guilty, is that some sort of gross misconduct?
Look, it'll be interesting to see what comes about of this, because I know that Tottenham did go and get their, you know, they didn't want the deal to be completed by the non-licensed agent. They did go about getting a licensed agent in to complete the deal. However, if he's broke the rule on this, which in the grand scheme of things is something minor, well, then why hasn't he done all out what City have done, what Chelsea have done in the past, and go and break every single rule and deliver us trophies and have the best team in England? So if you're going to break one minor one, you may as well break every other one and sort of, you know, bring home trophies just like the other owners have done. And also, you know, the other side to it is, if he holds himself up to be this moral arbiter and he sort of he gets found guilty against it, you would say maybe there would be a call for him to hand in his resignation. Do I think he'll willingly offer it up? No, nowhere near it. He doesn't care about bad press, Daniel Levy. We know this. So, look, it'd be interesting to see what happens, what the fallout is. You know, do they know that this was coming down the line and there could be potential other stuff that, you know, that they're willing to speak to people and, you know, to try and get investment or offload this football club if the right sort of money comes in? Do they know this is coming down the line and they're trying to get out before the ship sinks?
Yeah. 100%. Back to you, Henry, with Mr. Sinclair's question. What sort of indelible mark does this put on Daniel Levy's record if it turns out that we're in trouble about this?
0. Absolutely 0. He doesn't care about what people think about him. He's a chairman. He wants to run the football club the way he sees fit. This wouldn't be the first or last time there's been any bad PR about him. I remember some of the criticism he was getting when he furloughed members of staff, and he was the only chairman in the Premier League to furlough staff. Some of the criticism he was getting then, he was getting an absolute bashing left, right, and centre. I don't think he'll really care about some of the criticism he's getting for a potential allegations that he may or may not have broken. So, look, at the end of the day, if we've broken a rule, there's going to be consequences. If we haven't broken a rule, we just get on with our lives. people look. I'll be honest, and Dave, and as well as you, Sean, we've all been critical against these owners. But you've got to choose your moments when to do so. You don't lose 1 or 2 games and start bashing out the Levy out drum. He's the worst chairman in the world because, yes, other teams around us have won trophies, but it's and yes, we should have won a lot more. But we've got a plan together now. We're going to try and stick to that, and we'll be the judge of that in the next 2 or 3 years. But don't just because we lose to Wolves and if we lose to Villa and then City, yes, it's going to be a kick in the teeth, and yes, it may be 4 defeats in a row. But you don't start immediately throwing everything Levy under the bus. It's not Levy's fault that Van der Ven and Maddison got injured. It's not Levy's fault Romero and your doggy got red carded. These are out of his hands. Yes, he could have brought in a couple more signings in the summer, another centre back, another forward. Yes, he can always do more, but stuff that's out of his control, you can't blame him for. Like,
yeah,
I think like as a fan base, as football fans, we're very reactional. I said that I don't believe Bukayo Saka's world class, and then all of a sudden you get absolute pelters. You're a typical Spurs fan. You're deluded. Like, you can't say anything nowadays about you getting pelted one way or another. So why not just?
If he is found guilty, though, the next questions will be: if you're going to break the rules, why won't you break the financial rules and, go out and do more for Tottenham? So it does open a can of worms. It does open a can of worms for more questions. Be very interesting to see whether he does do one of them fan forums if he is found guilty of it. The one that he done at the start of the season with Postecoglou and stuff like that to answer the questions. But
I'll be honest, Dave. Mate, it lessens my resolve on the defending of his argument, because I think one of the strongest points about him is the guy has managed to keep Tottenham sustainably somewhat competitive whilst working within the rules. And so, to King Hoddle's question, what did we gain by using an unlicensed agent? Well, look, generally speaking, I think it's a similar sort of context as to what has happened with Chelsea back when Abramovich was in place, in that you have people that might have influence, might have leverage, that are outside of the traditional mechanisms, just like what's alleged to have happened at Chelsea, where friends of or conduits from the Conte camp and the Willian camp wanted their money on the side through some sort of third-party company or consultancy, or they get access to shares in some offshore account, and in so doing, they'll make sure that this manager goes that way. And let's not pretend like it's just the friend of Conte or the friend of Willian that's getting a bit of money in that scenario. Conte would have got paid off, in my opinion, like some slice of that consultancy fee, as would Willian off the books. So it's not just because they've got someone who's very much friendly with the person you're trying to sign and that they can twist the arm of. No, everyone's getting a slice of the pie. And so I would imagine that if Tottenham did use an unlicensed agent, it was probably, I'm speculating here, but probably because 1, 2, or several of the parties involved were also getting a slice of the pie outside of the traditional mechanisms later on. Massively speculating in a hypothesis, but that's the rationale for it. Otherwise, you would just use, if it was everyone was, on board with the transfer, then you wouldn't need to use someone outside of the ecosystem. So I think there's probably more to it, and a little bit of shenanigans go with brown paper bags getting put under the table, so to speak. That's what I would suggest is the rationale.
In 2008, Portsmouth won the FA Cup, right? Does anyone know if he scored any goals in that cup run?
I don't know. I haven't looked into it. Anyone in the comments?
Anyway, no, well, I doubt it unless he played in one of the early rounds, because that move was completed in January of 2008.
So he would have been.
If anyone in the comments, whilst we're watching this, can do a little bit of due diligence and find out who were the teams that got relegated. Where did Portsmouth finish that year? How many goals did Jermaine Defoe score in that particular season? And then we can maybe put some meat on the bones here. But this has all happened a little bit too soon for us to do some digging. But look, we'll move on. Actually, before we do, we've got one more super chat from channel favorite, one of the guys we love around here, Blaine Dev. If we get a points deduction, then City, Chelsea, etc., have to basically just be dissolved right now,
like a baraka.
Listen, I know what's good for the goose is good for the gander. I'm happy to sit here and say if Tottenham have broken rules, Even if you go back 15 years, if that's what they want to do, then they're setting new precedents. The lawmakers are setting new precedents. And that means that there is absolute clear path to investigate everybody in the Premier League all the way back to 1991 when the Premier League started. And let's not forget that Alex Ferguson was guilty and his son, remember his son got sacked from wherever he was manager of, and all the players went back to Manchester United that were on loan there. The tapping up. You go back far enough, there's so much mud to be thrown. If you're going to go back 15 years, there's no reason why you can't go back 30, in my opinion. Dave, what's your thoughts?
Look, Blaine's absolutely spot on. It'd be like a Barack into a glass, just dissolves. That's what should happen to these guys because, whatever we're guilty of, whatever Everton are guilty of, these guys are guilty of it on a whole nother scale. It's an absolute joke. And for me, if we end up carrying a points deduction or a transfer ban or whatever it may be, these guys should end up facing what Rangers had to face, what Juventus have to face, where basically you're punished, you're going straight down to the bottom of the pyramid, work your way back up again. That's what I'd be doing with these clubs. It's just a joke. Like I said, they're hell bent on going after the little fish. I don't, like Henry said, I don't think they want to deal with the big fish because of the amount of money that they bring, the amount of revenue, everything else. Look, it's if we broke the rules, I'll accept it. I'll take it on the chin, but I'll never agree with it. Just because it's not.
Fair enough. Yeah, Martin Morton saying Defoe's fee was weirdly low, only 7.5 million. 7.5 was quite a lot of money back then, wasn't it?
Back then it was big money, yeah.
That's about 20 million now.
Great player. Absolutely great player. Look, and I don't know if you guys have got anything more to add to this story. If not, we can move on to some of the other stories that might, be a little bit more interesting outside of the rule breaks. Have you guys got any final points or comments to make on this particular topic?
Final point, just smash the like button on all 3 streams and just move on, mate.
Yeah. Smash the like, hit the subscribe. You know the rules. Was that Dave?
Don't lose any sleep over it. Nothing to lose sleep over.
100%. There's nearly 800 people in the house across the 3 channels, so you guys know what to do. Everybody, if you can go to the various channels that you're not currently watching through, hit the likes and subscribes. It will really help all of our channels. We really appreciate it. Next topic, guys, that's the one we just done. Story from a couple of days ago. The Dele Alli just to finish off the kind of this particular topic about FFP. Real quick, 5 seconds on it or 5 minutes on it. You guys might remember a couple of weeks back when you heard about the FFP thing that was catching up on Everton. There was a story that Everton were going to come back cap in hand to Tottenham and say that any chance you can renegotiate the Dele Alli deal. We'd like to resurface his career. We'd like to get the guy back in the first team, after what's happened to him. But we can't do that because if he plays 5 more games for Tottenham, then he can't. Then we'll owe you 10 million quid, and we literally can't do that. I think we all put the stories out about it. There was a mixed reaction from the various fans. Some people said, yeah, go on, let Dele Alli, bring him home. Other people were saying, nah, screw Everton, that's business. After all that, as sort of the dust has settled, all of a sudden, Everton are now blaming Tottenham for the reason why they got the 10-point deduction in the first place, because Tottenham underpaid by 20 million, apparently, for Dele Alli. Has taking that stance destroyed any chance of Tottenham and Everton renegotiating the Dele Alli settlement? Dave, I'll start with you.
Yeah, I think it's definitely broken it, and I don't think we should. Their owners were willing to, what would you say, comply to what Don Paratici wanted the deal to be structured. So you pay the money. It's that simple at the end of the day. You pay us what you owe us. No need for renegotiation. Why should we take pity on them? If it was the other way around, nobody would take pity on us. So it is what it is. Pay up.
Love that. Henry, what about you, mate? Has Everton kind of bitten the hand that feeds them a little bit with that sort of stance in the press?
I agree with Dave. Like, if you owe money, pay it. If you owe a debt, pay it. Like, it's more bad press around the Everton Football Club. Now they're not paying up payment structures over from Dele Alli. They've had a point deduction. Look, it can't be. We're not talking hundreds of millions of pounds here. You know, we're not talking out buying out record stars. We're talking about paying a structure that was put in place by you when you wanted Dele Alli. If you owe money, pay it. It's as simple as that.
Just build a smaller stadium. I don't see what the problem is. You know, build a smaller stadium. Tim Park Club anyway. You don't need that big stadium.
No, I agree. I mean, it's terrible. Have you ever been to Goodison Park? You're very lucky if you don't get behind a restricted view. They've got more pillars in that place than I don't know than Henry Wright's fantasy football team at the moment. There's a lot of pillars in there. I don't know. Yeah, listen, I don't know what to say about the Everton thing. I feel like they've they're trying to close the gate after the horse has bolted with regards who they're going to blame, and in so doing, they decided to cut off any chance of getting any kind of soft response from Daniel Levy. I don't think Daniel Levy would give him a soft response anyway, but Dele Alli,
I'd lose respect, you know, if he did. You know, it's sort of, he goes on like he's this tough negotiator and he takes such pride in it. I'd actually lose a hell of a lot of respect if he did bow down on it.
Yeah, 100%. You got, yeah, he is the guy. This is the character that we have. If he was to yield on Everton and also be guilty of what we might be guilty of, then starts to chip away at that persona of someone who's squeaky clean and also overly tight or overly business thought, you know. So we need to see Daniel Levy be Daniel Levy in the moment, and hope there's no issue there. Super chat from Blaine Dev. Appreciate you, Blaine, once again. Henry, if you don't like what Sean and Dave's opinions are, mate, you can F off down the bridge and watch National League South next season.
I haven't said that I don't like their opinions, but yeah, Blaine, if you can't see what Henry Wright TV's doing, mate, you can F off down the Emirates. Simple as that, mate.
I mean, another super chat here from SOF. Thank you, Blaine. SOF saying, what do you think the fan reaction will be if Spurs lose 5 to 6 games in a row with Ange refusing to change the system or give young players a chance? Spurs could be behind Man United, who are in a mess, and have pressure on Erik ten Hag. Really, really nice super chat, SOF. I'm not sure whose channel it's for, but whoever it's from, thank you very much. Dave, I'll let you go first this one, mate. You know, yeah, it's interesting. You know, are Tottenham 2-3 losses away, and they're on paper, you could see them happening. Does the fan patience, does the fan love in for Ange Ball change at some point if we lose 4, 5, 6 on the bounce?
Look, if you're living in modern football, right, it's a results-based industry, and you'd like to think if that does happen, the pressure will be straight on the guy. Of course, you know, if this club can sack Pochettino after a Champions League final, sack Jose Mourinho with the history around him and Conte, they'd have no problem sacking Ange Postecoglou. However, this is where I would urge maybe Spurs fans to be a little bit smarter on this one. You know, as soon as we've, you know, basically called for manager's head, the club have sort of, you know, gone with that, and the heads have rolled. But on this point, we could see what Postecoglou can bring us when he's got the players that he wants fully fit, ready and available. What we can't do is when we have to start using the likes of Eric Dyer and Ben Davies, who were here long before Postecoglou even arrived, when he has to start reverting to that, we can't then blame Ange Postecoglou for what's going on. You know, you can't, at some point, I know we don't like to, but you have to put the blame on the players, and you have to show a bit of patience and say, okay, well, you know, we'll get into the summer. Hopefully they're gone. We get more in, and then you can really judge them when the majority of the squad is his. Right now, I ain't judging him because the majority of the squad is not his. So, you know, there's still people that have caused problems before all this, still causing problems now. And it's the same under every manager. As soon as they come in, every manager's football looks crap. It looks shit. You can't defend. And the obvious choice is go for the manager in modern day football because it's the cheapest thing to replace. You've seen the problems within our own fan base trying to get Levy out. You know, they're not going to sack an entire squad. So it's cheaper to replace the manager. So ultimately, that's where the club will go. But as fans, I'd urge that times do get tough. This time, stand by Ange Postecoglou, because a couple of transfer windows, you know, this guy could very well be the one to deliver us glory. So I get it. The pressure will be on, but I just think Spurs fans, we have to be smart. We can't keep going through a routine of sacking a manager, you know, every single season. We haven't had one manager in the dugout for a full season since Pochettino. Then we moan about what we've seen on the pitch the last few years, but it's like that because we've got bits and pieces from 4 or 5 different sort of regimes. You still got some from Poch, still got some from Jose, some from Nuno, and some from Conte, and now some from Postecoglou. So where we're at right now, it does need a manager that's going to be given 2-3 years to really sort out the squad, make it his own, a bit like what Jurgen Klopp done at Liverpool, right? He was given the time and he made that squad his own, and look what he went on to produce. So for me, I would urge Spurs fans, especially because, we know it doesn't work with defensive managers. So let's just give Postecoglou the time to build it and see what happens. I don't think we have to be so knee-jerk. We've lost 4 or 5 games, get him out, this, that, and the other, because you're only adding to the problems then at the football club, because you're only going to keep making the same mistakes that you've already made. So for me, I think it does not make sense. Just back the guy, give the guy time.
Yeah, listen, I personally agree. There's absolutely nothing that could really happen this season for me right now where I'm going to turn. I'll always reserve the judgment, reserve the right to critique, but I can see something far different to what I saw under Conte, which is, for me, I've always espoused that watching good football, enjoying the football that I see is more important. I know I'm rare in this particular market, but it's more important than playing terrible football and possibly winning a trophy. If you could guarantee me trophies, then maybe I would tolerate terrible football. But when you can't guarantee me the output, you can at least guarantee me the input. So I'll tolerate it, whereas I wouldn't tolerate Conte's. Henry, to you, mate, is there a difference here? This time last year, Tottenham started really well under Conte, but I think the question marks were always there, saying like, how sustainable is this?
People are saying it now, is this sustainable? And we've got the injuries, and now we're going, well, I don't know. The only thing that this season that made me really turn on Ange is if we went crashing out of the FA Cup in the 3rd round to like a championship team.
Well, strike one for you was the Carabao Cup, wasn't it?
Yeah. You get 5 strikes as a manager. People say it's too soon, mate, but look at the League Cup now. City are out. United are out. The only team in it is Liverpool and Chelsea. Right, West Ham, if they beat Liverpool, are in a semi-final of a cup. And this is a team that's been, if they win 2 trophies, which will be a League Cup and a Conference League, in the space we've won nothing, what does that say about us? Yeah, fair enough. We finished in the Champions League all these years, but we haven't done anything. The strike would be a big strike if we finish like 8th or 9th and crash out of the FA Cup in the 3rd round. And I think everyone would agree. If we finish 8th or 9th, have a terrible season, and don't do anything in the FA Cup, everyone will be like, okay, something's wrong here. But I don't think we will. I think we'll be in and around that top 4. But I do think we've got to go and spend money in January. Like, I'm not going to get on the manager's back if we lose to Villa and City, or we lose to Villa, City, Newcastle, and West Ham.
What about West Ham? If we're on the back, if we lose to, I think everyone can see how good Villa are right now. And I think everyone, given what we're going through, no Romero, I won't go through the reasons why, but if we lose to Villa, I think everyone can kind of at least appreciate that you're losing to a team that's in proper good form, they're doing business. Manchester City, I think the same thing. If you lose away at Manchester City, it's kind of par for the course for 19 teams. It's only Tottenham that usually do well up there.
Yeah, you're expected to come away with a defeat or a draw at best. If we lose at home to West Ham.
Yeah, West Ham, that's what I'm asking. If we lose badly against West Ham, West Ham's cup final at Tottenham, is that the catalyst for some noisy discontent?
It will. If we lose to Villa, City, and then West Ham, all the fans, not necessarily us three, but a big portion of the fan base will be jumping on it immediately. Ange out. One thing I will say is if we lose to Villa and City, that's 4 defeats in a row. If we then lost to West Ham, the pressure starts to mount. And I know it's early on, but this is what we like. Nuno won manager of the month, and the following month got sacked. Our fans are so reactionary. I'm not saying us three or people in this chat, but a lot of people on social media will be all over him like a tramp on hot chips. At the end of the day, we haven't got a fully fit squad. We've got injuries to big players, Van der Ven and Maddison. We're without Romero at the moment. We could be without Udogie as well against Villa. Moussa Diaby's going to be licking his lips if he's going up against Ben Davies. Right? I personally think Son's carrying a knock as well. I think Porro's carrying a knock as well. Brennan Johnson didn't look fully fit against Wolves. Hopefully he's going to come back in better. Kulu Got to get more out of him. He looks a little bit one-dimensional against Wolves. There's a lot of things that aren't going to plan for Postecoglou that are out of his control. Injuries, he's not in charge of. He's not Jurgen Klinsmann. There's absolutely categorically no reason why Son has got to play 90 minutes against Singapore when you were 3-0 up in the 58th minute. There's no need for it. Absolutely not. Like, and what would have happened if the 93rd minute Son does his ACL? We would be crucifying him.
Incredible amount of ACLs, by the way, this season. It's
23
bonkers how many
across
ACLs.
the top 5 leagues and 170 injuries in the Prem already. 170. It's gone up 18%.
And the majority of them are hamstring injuries. I wonder if that to do with VAR. But on what Henry's saying, like, the thing is, this isn't a manager issue what we're going through right now. This is a squad issue. Everything was going perfectly. No one was questioning the tactics. Everyone was sitting there on the hands train, everything else. All of a sudden, a couple of results don't go our way, which, look, I hate losing just as much as the next guy, especially when it comes to West Ham. I have history with West Ham. I can't stand losing to them fuckers. However, you know, we can't be so reactionary because, you know, when we're all, you know, going mad about this club, what we want what Jurgen Klopp has built at Liverpool. Okay, but you think Liverpool, like their club, going up doing all this to the fans after losing to West Brom? No, they didn't. But what happened is they kept Jurgen Klopp and they kept investing in and giving him the squad that he needed to be able to build to go and challenge. What's happening right now is nothing to do with Ange Postecoglou. He hasn't done anything differently. It's simply a squad issue due to injuries and suspensions. Now, everyone's, you know, like I said with you guys there last week, you know, the guy asked for 2 centre-backs. The fact that he has to call on Dyer or Davies in there, that ain't his fault. That ain't his problem. Yes, you know, you could say, oh, well, you know, if one player's bad, in hindsight, you could say, oh, well, he could have picked him. But the chances are it doesn't matter who he picks. They're both as bad and as dumb as each other. So for me, you know, what we're going through right now is a squad issue, which was created by us not doing enough in the summer. I'm one of them. I'm very happy with the business we did do. But I did warn that the business we didn't do could very well come back to haunt us. And it seems like that's going to be the case. But that ain't on Postecoglou. He can sit there. All he can do is sit there and ask for what he wants. It's up to the club to have enough gusto about them to be able to go out and create it for him. And we didn't do
challenge
enough
you, Dave, and
in
say,
certain areas.
Listen, I agree with you that you could have done slightly more, but I think we did bring in 8 players into the squad, if you include, you know, Beliz and Ashley Phillips. Too many players in one full swing is too much, right? It can disrupt the flow. And look, I agree with you about the centre-back, 100%. But when you factor in the amount of disruption that we've had, that Chelsea game in 5 minutes, it wasn't over the course of 3 or 4 months where the injuries piled up. Every injury we've had has been long-term. You know, you got Manuel Solomon, long-termer. Perisic, long-termer. Maddison, long-termer. Van der Ven, long-termer. Romero, 3 games as an absentee. Bissouma and Udogie, suspensions at the same. It all happens at the same time. Whilst I think that I agree with you 100%, you can't blame Postecoglou for that. I would also argue that you can't blame the club for that, in as much as you can't, in one season, in one transfer window, go from being the absolute stain that we had as a squad to absolute dominance, where you have 2 good enough players in every position to come in when you have 3 or 4 of your first teamers out at the same time. And with Romero out and Van der Ven out and Udogie out and Bissouma out and Maddison out and Perisic and Richarlison and Manuel Solomon, I don't think that any club could sustain that. Not even Manchester City even couldn't sustain losing Rodri and De Bruyne. They lost to Wolves. They lost to Newcastle. They lost somewhere else as well. Like, I feel like, yes, we could have done slightly more, but there is no way any team could have gone from what we were to what we needed to be to ride through the last 2 games unscathed, given the amount of disruption that there was.
Well, I agree with you to a certain extent. The centre-back issue, you know, the 2 centre-backs, the both goals against Wolves came from us in possession. Them 2 started off with them in possession, making poor decisions. That's something. Centre-back has been an issue at this club since Toby and Jan retired. So, you know, the fact that we're still sitting here saying, oh, we still need enough cover, there's no excuse for that. However,
same as the playmaker. We only replaced Ericsson with Maddison only this summer window.
Yeah. So there's certain positions where I won't give them any free passes. However, to the majority of your point, I understand that I'm one of these. I washed my hands and I wrestled and I sort of just look. I understand that under Steve Hitchen we made such a mess. It's going to take time to, unravel it and get back on the right foot. We're getting there now, but the last thing we need to do is to make same mistakes and put everything on Ange Postecoglou. The simple thing is, you've got injury suspensions, but every manager has to deal with it. What can you do? But the famous saying goes, you're only as good as the tools you've got to work with. The guy's not Einstein. He's a football manager at the end of the day. And if you've got footballers that aren't competent, it's going to come back and cause you problems. That's it in a nutshell at the end of the day. But this is where fans have to be smart. We have to realize what happened under Steve Hitchen, the bad state the squad was in. You've got to wash your hands with it, and whether you like it or not, accept it. And then, just give a manager that time to be able to create something for us to be able to build off going forward.
Do you know what the one thing that, just on Ange, just quickly, the one thing that's annoying is the amount of good PR he was getting from rival fans in the Premier League that he won the manager of the months. The minute we lost the game, everyone was onto him, calling him a fraud, calling him this and that, just to move away from Levy for one moment. Everyone was drilling him, rival fans, the media, some Tottenham fans. Oh, he's not that good. How can we lose to Chelsea? Like, I think to a degree, we just need to keep our boots on the floor. Like, Levy's not a miracle worker. What are we expecting in one window? But at the same time, Dave is right. Some of these problems have been here for longer than a window. Like Undon Bele, for instance, is our highest paid player at the football club, and he's somehow still here. He's had 3 loan moves to Lyon, Napoli, and now Galatasaray.
Did you see that? Did you see that training? You see that video of him pre-match warm-up?
Yeah, walking around. Oh. No other football club in the Premier League, no other serious football club, City, Liverpool, Arsenal, Chelsea, even United to a degree. Like United, Lukaku weren't working, they got rid. Right, Man City would have got rid of him after a year.
Sancho, there's pretty drastic actions taken from players that the club deems to be not
at least with
their
Sancho,
weight.
The club tried to get rid and throw him under the bus. Whether it's right or wrong, they've chosen action.
We're too soft, aren't we?
Sit in our football club, earning 200 grand a week for doing nothing.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I think we're a little bit too soft on some of these players. The player power at Tottenham is probably slightly stronger than it is at other clubs that have got a bit of a stick rather than the carrot mentality. Oben EE with the super chat. Shout out to Oben. What's the difference between an unlicensed agent and a consultancy role? Don Paratici gets paid and is involved in a lot of these meetings between Levy and players still. Will this come back to bite us? But listen, I don't know, but what I would say is I think Don Paratici didn't lose his license to trade or to do anything. He got a ban, but he didn't lose his license. It's a good question, though. I'm not sure of the legality around whether or not Paratici being involved as just an advisor that's not involved in any particular meetings versus this fella from whatever his name was, who was not officially a licensed agent, being directly involved is a breach. It's a good question, mate. Listen, I'm not an expert on this one. Dave, it looks like you want to say something, mate.
Yeah, look, I would be known as the Don Paratici expert. It's good to hear him getting the recognition he deserves as well, Shawnee, by referring to him as the one and only the Don, which is brilliant. But look, when it comes to Paratici, right, what he can't do at the football club is negotiate deals. He can't do anything like that. So basically, what he was banned for, he can't do anything within the club. He can't put his name on any of the deals. He can't ring and speak to people on behalf of the club. He can't do that. What he can do, though, is he can go and meet with Daniel Levy for a cup of coffee. Well, I advise you to go after this player. All you've got. I advise you to get this player out and put him here. Or, basically that's what Paratici's doing. And as long as we're not paying him, there's nothing illegal about it. It's a friend giving a friend advice.
100%. 100%. Thank you for the super chat, my man. Really appreciate it. Guys, just quick little checking. I can't see. I can see that there's 750 people still watching the show on various channels, but I can't see what the like situation is. But I really hope that everyone's channel has the same amount of likes, give or take, and that everyone is subscribing to everybody else's. It's very easy to do. You haven't got to leave the show that you're watching it from. You just got to click on the links in the title on all 3 channels, and the tabs will pop up. Hit the like on the other channels, hit the subscribe too, and then we can get on with the show. We got so much more to get through. I know we're not going to go on for hours and hours and hours, but I have lots of little transfer news. Oh, Dave's gone. He's gone to smash the like button, I think. We got 5-6 different little topics to talk about quickly. Ruben Neves, Henry, links come out a couple of weeks or in the last week regarding Ruben Neves to Tottenham. Today, Ornstein said basically he's not happening. He's not coming to Tottenham. He's not going to Arsenal. If he goes anywhere, it's going to be Newcastle. But he envisions that he'll stay in Saudi Arabia until the summer. Was that ever in doubt? Like, do you not think that I mean, to me, it was absolutely written. I spoke about it in the summer when it happened. I said the fact that he's leaving Wolves, going to Saudi Arabia, I guarantee you he'll be back on a loan deal to a club that's linked to Saudi Arabia.
Makes sense for him. He's gone with the money. He's going to get back into a club like Newcastle that are on the up. It doesn't suit Postecoglou anyway because he's not a quick, mobile midfielder. He's a very good passer of the ball and got a fantastic, long range shooting on him. But where would he play? What's the difference as a 6, Ruben Neves and Basuma? What's the difference between Ruben Neves and Bentancur? Well, Bentancur and Basuma are a lot mobile players and they fit the system better. Ruben Neves doesn't. And the second thing, he's going to be on astronomically high wages. We're not going to pay that.
But in reality, though, my question mark is really around getting back to the kind of rules of the game. Like, to me, the fact that he left Wolves to go to a Saudi Arabian-owned club, knowing full well that he was too young and had too much time on his side, too much quality to spend the next 5 years in a league that's driven by money and money alone, for him to stay there. To me, it was always written in the stars that he would make his way to Newcastle or to Chelsea if Chelsea needed him via Clear Lake Capital, because they're the 2 clubs that have indirect relationships or direct relationships with the PIF. To me, it's an absolute disgrace that is another loophole that was so obviously left open. So, and the fact that the regulating authorities are loosening the rules on ownership, not tightening them, means that Saudi Arabia are going to do this again and again. They own, the PIF owns 5 clubs or 4 clubs in Saudi Arabia, and they own Newcastle, and they own a direct controlling relationship in Clear Lake Capital, who are the controlling owner of Chelsea. To me, it stinks of. It's the biggest open, it's the open secret, a loophole around Newcastle can't spend too much money too quickly on FFP because they can't just spend $1 billion overnight. So how about Wolves just sell a player to that club and then they get a loan back in to circumvent FFP? It's so obvious.
Do you not think it's clever accounting?
It's super clever accounting, but it's the most obvious loophole.
And there's nothing any of us or anyone can do about it. It's what Man City have been doing it for years. Man City have been paying people via through an offshore Abu Dhabi bank account, which I'm pretty sure you've got to be paid for a UK bank account. But because they've been putting money into an Abu Dhabi account, it's not. There's so many loopholes. It's just clever accounting. He was bound to go to Newcastle. There's no way.
I think it's clever. I think it is clever accounting, but I think it's like a slap in the face because at least Manchester City tried to hide what they were doing allegedly with previous managers.
It's right in your face, and they're going.
It's right in your face. It's so in your face. It's like you've got a bird. You got a bird, and she's going up and she's snogging the pizza delivery guy as a tip. Like, it's so in your face that the pizza is the least important thing on the menu here.
Oh yeah,
I don't know what's going on.
It's in your face. You can't do anything about it. At least Man City might have been. It's like someone's cheated on you in front of you, but at least Man City are doing it next door.
Yeah, exactly. At least she's turned her notifications off. She's taken off the Apple ID so that you can all see what's going on the text messages. Dave, what's your take on Ruben Neves, mate? To me, anyway, go on.
Look, For me, I think he took the money with plans on coming back. I don't think he was ever going to go out there long term. He got with money waved in his face. I'll go out there for 6 months and I'll get a return. Now, look, I would love Ruben Neves to come to Spurs. I did see something from his side saying that he's dreaming of a return to England. Not surprised there. But look, the clubs could prevent this. He's probably going to end up at Newcastle, like you guys say. And look, the thing is, Newcastle, they've got the whole pick of the Saudi league now. They can bring in who they want out of there. No one's going to stand in their way.
100%.
Clubs could have voted against this today, and they chose not to. There was a vote today, which basically would stop, a club owners who own another owner being able to trade between them. They didn't. The clubs voted in favor of Newcastle now being allowed to go into the Saudi league.
It was only 13 clubs that voted, wasn't it? It needs to be 14 to stop.
Yeah. So, the clubs
I
had
don't
an
know.
opportunity
I've
to
got no idea
today,
why would those clubs not do that? Why would those clubs support that scenario?
Because eventually the plan is
they're all going to be bought. They all want to get bought out by someone in that syndicate.
Precisely, part of the bigger plan that multi-club ownership will be massive in 15 years' time.
15 years? It's already massive, mate.
No, I'm not talking 1 or 2 clubs are owned by now. It's
not 1 or 2. 13 clubs in the Premier League are already owned by multi-club. They're already somehow connected to multi-club ownership.
What are the bigger plans? Bigger plans. So it's part of Man United. He owns Man United and Nice. Chelsea own Strasbourg.
Yeah, Burnley have got the club Lorente in
City group.
Brighton have got their stuff. Brentford have got their stuff. The only club who hasn't got anything is the club who started multi-club ownership back in the 90s. And the rules back then were moved. Like Tottenham didn't break the rules. They didn't cross the line. The line crossed them to stop Daniel Levy and Enoch, who once again, one of the groundbreakers on a new system. Yeah. Just like Daniel Levy is groundbreaking on the way of making a stadium be used for revenue streams. And every other club is now going, well, when we build a new stadium, we'll be doing the same thing. Daniel Levy was a groundbreaker in the idea of multi-club ownership back in the 90s.
Did you guys see
to suffocate Daniel Levy back then, and now they're loosened up, and Levy's got to start again without any start from scratch.
Did you see that Newcastle want to get St James's rebuilt, and they're using the same architects that designed our ground?
Yeah. And you know what happens in that scenario when Chelsea get their stadium rebuilt? When Newcastle get theirs, when Manchester United eventually get theirs, when Everton get theirs, you know what happens? There's more competition to get those lucrative contracts for concerts. Suddenly, all these other clubs are going to be fighting, and so there's less.
That's why we've got to take advantage right now. We've got to take advantage right now, or we've got all these contracts.
Speaking of which, if any of you are a fan of Pink, they have announced that Pink will be, playing at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium very, very soon. So.
Just insane.
Oh, unbelievable.
But you can safely say, though, them 7 votes, you can pick them clubs. They're obviously owners who have multiple ownerships, right?
100%. I guarantee you Daniel Levy voted against. Well, I don't guarantee, but I'd be surprised if Daniel Levy didn't vote against it.
I wonder will Scott Munn be able to, because I remember saying to you ages ago, Sean, I was convinced that's what Scott Munn was brought in to do, is eventually branch out into multiple ownership. So I wonder will that be the route we're going down now that vote has come in?
I'm absolutely convinced that Scott Munn's role here is to educate Daniel Levy on the new way of doing multi-club. I'm convinced of it. I don't really see his value outside of that. So, but Tottenham have got smaller fish to fry in the short term. That's probably something for 2 or 3 years down the track. But like everything with Daniel Levy, like everything with Tottenham, we always seem to be a little bit late to the party. When it comes to the things where the rules open up. Anyway, so Ruben Neves isn't coming to Tottenham.
Just quickly, Sean, there's an expression over here, right? With the Irish always being late to the party, and it's called Paddy Last. And it's the exact same thing with Tottenham. We're Paddy Last in every fucking scenario.
Tottenham are Paddy Last once again. Let's move on to the links that are out. I don't know if you guys have seen this one. Actually, I'm going to start with this particular bit of news. Henry, you put a video out about this. I haven't really, I don't know what this is based on. Is Udogie out?
So Rob Guesty, Rob Guest, who's basically Ali Gold's right-hand man on Football London, basically said that Udogie, there is fears from him internal at the club that Udogie is not 100% fully fit. Now, there was a report from Ali Gold that came out a week ago that he said that Udogie has been pulled out of international duty with Italy to get fit, but they're still worried about it. I mean, he didn't start against Wolves. I'll be honest. If we don't have him against Aston Villa, whoever's playing left wing, which probably will be Brennan Johnson, is going to have to be a second fullback for Moussa Diaby. If Udogie is playing, that makes it an incredible battle between two absolute pace merchants, two young talented players. But you know, I just made a video because I think if he's not playing, let's say hypothetically he's out of both games, which are only a week apart, that's a game changer for us. You know, he's only played 12 games in a Tottenham shirt, and it's already a game changer for us, him being in that squad or not. You know, we're not talking about a player that's played 250 games for Tottenham like someone like Harry Kane has, for instance, you know, or Gareth Bale or whatever. We're talking about a guy that's been here a few months, and he's already so important to the way we play, to the football we want to play week in, week out. And if it is true that he's out, then I'm extremely concerned. But if he plays, I did caveat in the video saying we're getting mixed signals. Everyone's an ITK now on Twitter. Everyone, you know, Dave, you must see on your when you do your reaction show that everyone's a source now. But I think it's a little bit concerning now. It's not just him. Porro, he was holding his ankle quite a lot in the Wolves game. Son was holding his ankle when he went down against Singapore. Like, it's almost like only 3 weeks ago we were saying if we can get through these next 10 games unscathed with no injuries, fast forward 2 or 3 weeks now, we've lost Maddison, Romero for a few games, Udogie for a couple of games, Son's covering his ankle, Porro's covering his ankle, Udogie doesn't look fully fit, Van der Ven's out. Like, how much can a couple of weeks change? It's potentially our season.
Look, you know? I think I agree with you, but I think we have to expect that this was going to happen to a certain degree, because you've gone from the style of football they were playing last season to the style of football they're playing this season, a lot more proactive, and you know, there's no rest periods, it's all out action. That's why we're picking up a lot more injuries this season, because of the change it's taken on the body with players that were here last season. You know, it's a complete different way of playing, a complete different energy and stuff like that. So that definitely has some part to do with the injuries. But the Destiny Udogie one, I would say it's true. Let's not forget, I think it was Crystal Palace he missed, right, through injury. You know, and that. So, you know, I think we probably rushed it back personally. But like this is what I keep saying, you know, this is why we need to create a squad at Tottenham Hotspur, so that when this does happen, and you have to expect it to happen with the high intensity football, that we have other players that can step in, so we don't feel the effects. But what we've got right now is one group that can play high intensity football, or their bodies are adjusted to it, and another group that can't play that way. And that's why you'll always see a difference at Tottenham Hotspur, regardless of who the manager is. Because even if you're getting a defensive manager, you've still got one group who want to play attacking football and another group who suits defensive football. So until we get the squad sorted, we're always going to feel the effect of all the injuries.
Yeah. For me, I hope that Udogie, if he's not fit, then without Bissouma as well, it's curtains, isn't it? It's like a reserve team squad. It's going to be a training game, and if Ange decides to continue his ethos, then doesn't look good. But listen, I've settled with, I've shaken hands with where we're at this current sort of junction in time. I hope we can get through it. If we can get through it with a point or 3 points, it'll be absolutely sensational. You know, then I'm off on the bus, the coach up to Man City on the next weekend. Doesn't get any easier after that either. But what we have got to do, just to quickly finish off, guys, we've got some quick fire links here to finish quickly. You off with transfer news. What's that, Dave?
Just quickly, while we're on the injury news, Ashley Phillips came off injured for the under-19s, England under-19s this evening as well. So we'll wait and see how that one pans out.
Yeah, I see that.
Wow. Never rains, but it...
Stop, it's a joke.
More than pause, isn't it? More than pause at the moment. Absolutely insane.
You don't laugh, you'll cry, honestly.
Yeah. Look, hopefully that's not a bad one, but... Yeah. Whatever. It is what it is. Let's get on with the exciting stuff. Transfer news, views, and clues real quick. I don't know if you guys saw this one. Radu Dragusin. Is this guy going to drag us into a title race? See what I did there? You see what I did
it's
there?
absolutely terrible, mate. That's absolutely terrible. Let's just remove Sean for a couple of seconds.
You can't do that. You can't do that. Listen, this guy's 21. He's plays for Genoa in the Serie A. You've ex-Juventus player, 6'4". I did a video on him today. I don't know much about him, but I've done my due diligence. Geezer is absolutely comfortable on the ball, cocky, confident, and loves pinging long balls. He's 6'4". He's very fast. Rumors are there. Do you guys know much about him?
I mean, I've packed him a couple of times on FIFA, but that's about it.
Okay.
I mean, I'll be honest. I'll hold my hands up. I don't know too much about him. But if he's tall and fast, he can cover the left centre back position as well. If for Van de Ven, but you say he's at Genoa in Italy? Did you say?
Yeah, he's at Genoa in Italy. He's out of the Juventus camp. Like I say, what I've seen of him, he looks like someone. I'll make the same pitch just really quickly for Lloyd Kelly. A lot of people say they don't want Lloyd Kelly. I've spent a lot of time trying to figure out why it is that a lot of teams want Lloyd Kelly, and I think it's got to be something other than the fact that he's English, he's homegrown, and he's on a cheap because he's on a transfer.
Want him as well, don't they?
Yeah, Liverpool want him, Newcastle want him, and I think that all of the teams that are putting their name in the hat are teams that play an expansive brand of football. And I think that there's something in that. Bournemouth play a low block most of the time. They're on the receiving end of, aggressive football against them. They're tucked in. And I imagine Mickey Van de Ven having to play a low block. You wouldn't see Mickey Van de Ven at his best. He's at his best. He looks brilliant when he's showing his pace, getting in and covering tackles and clearing things up. And I feel like I'm not saying that he's of the level of Mickey Van de Ven. Don't confuse what I'm saying. But what I am trying to say is that I do think that in a high line, someone who has his physical attributes might just show that he could be a square peg for a square hole for Tottenham, more so than I gave it credit for in the summer. And I don't know if this guy Dragusin is similar. He has similar physical attributes. He's very good in the air, scores a couple of goals. Dave, do you know much about this guy, Dragusin?
No, not much at all, to be honest with you. Just screams Vlad Chiriches at me. So, look, he's probably better than that. But no, I don't know much about him, man.
Okay. Next one on the list, just quickly, guys, just to kind of get through the last few bits. We've got another link, Marcus Leonardo, linked with all the big clubs in England, linked with maybe 15 clubs around Europe. He's a number 9, reminds me very much of Gabriel Jesus. Lots of flicks, lots of technical stuff, plays for Santos in Brazil, valued at 20 million.
Have you been playing Football Manager 24?
Yeah, I've been playing it. I've packed him a few times as well. Now he looks like, he reminds me of Gabriel Jesus, right? I did a video on him today, but all the big clubs want him. But I think it's one of these things where if you're 21 or 22 years old and you're playing football anywhere in the world and you can score 20 goals in a calendar year, then given the amount of clubs that need a 9 versus the amount of 9s that are out there, suddenly you've got a good chance of getting a deal into the Premier League. And I don't know if Marcus Leonardo is one of those. But I watched him. I looked him on the Y Scout tour, and I think he looks really interesting. But you know what? I don't know what the standard of the Brazilian league is. We've already signed someone who was killing it in the Argentinian league, and he isn't ready for our Premier League. So I don't know if Leonardo is. Dave, you look like you've got an opinion on this guy. Do you know much about him?
No, look, I'm aware of him. He's brilliant in Football Manager 23 and Football Manager 24. He scores a lot of goals, but look, we do need a striker. That's what I will say. So I wouldn't pour hot water on the links, quite so much, because we do need another striker at the club. But I would say if we bring him in, that probably spells the end for Richarlison.
Well, let's hope so.
Just quickly, sorry to come away for 2 seconds.
I'm going to log out, log back in. My internet's gone mad.
Oh, Dave.
Just quickly, Brennan Johnson didn't start tonight for Wales. He's not even on the bench.
Oh, no. Stop it.
Oh, no, tell a lie. He is playing. He's playing up front. He's been yellow carded. He's literally just been yellow carded. I've just seen
What are
it
you
on screen.
doing? What are you doing to me,
Chill
mate?
yourself out. Chill yourself out. If you can't see what Wales are doing, mate, you can never up to Scotland.
You take a little breather before you drop that sort of news, and then 30 seconds later say, "Oh no, tell a lie. He is not on the bench. He's starting. He scored a hat trick."
I was wrong.
Leonardo, mate, do you know much about this guy?
No, I'll be honest. I'll hold my hands up when I don't. I don't know too much about him. But just kind of see if it's a legitimate link, it kind of shows that we're trying to expand our scouting network, and I'm all here for it, mate. So,
all right, two more quick questions for you. News out with the injury to Gavi, another guy's gone down with an ACL. Barcelona are looking for a replacement, and they've turned their attention to Lo Celso. What's your thoughts? Get rid of him? If there's truth to it? Yeah, you want rid? Yeah.
Get rid, cash in. You get 30 million quid for him in the market. You go and buy someone else that can actually come in and do a job. Lo Celso did a couple of nice things against Wolves, but long term, he's not going to be at this football club, is he? He doesn't want it. His best football he's played in his career was at Real Betis, which was in Spain. If Barcelona are in for him, you've got to be out of your mind to sit on a bench over at Tottenham over choosing to play for Barcelona with the likes of Frankie de Jong, Lewandowski. I think we'd be stupid not to cash in. With Jamie Donnelly, probably has already got more about his game than Lo Celso, and he's only a kid. Maddison will be back in the new year as well. Maybe use him. What if we're smart? We use him, get him to hopefully pick up a bit of form, building up to the window, and then bang, we cash in at the right time. I probably would be looking to bring him in up until then, but long term, mate, even if we get 20 million quid, I think we have to cash in. Just take your losses. Okay, it didn't work out. Or say, look, 25 million and Lo Celso, Rafinha.
Well, that's what I was going to ask. Before we get to Rafinha, just quickly want to ask Dave about Lo Celso, just straight issue. Do you want him at the club? I don't think you do you, Dave? I don't think you've ever wanted him at the club, have you?
No, I nickname him a shit show. For me, I just don't think he's good enough to be here at this football club. I think, look, he's never proven that he's wanted to be here. He's had 1 month under Jose Mourinho. I mean, this is what annoys me a little. I got slack last year for saying we shouldn't sell Harry Kane. People like, Dave, you need to let it go. No player's bigger than the club, blah, blah, blah. Then you've got people out there literally campaigning to get Lo Celso in the team. I mean, you're supporting an absolute loser. This guy has done nothing for this football club. His happiest periods have been when he's been on loan away from this football club. He's had his chance under Postecoglou. And I think we're guilty of lowering the bar for Lo Celso as well. Like, when it comes to Lo Celso, like Henry said, and this isn't a dig at Henry, by the way, but, he done some good bits against Wolves. But I'm sorry, we didn't pay 45 million and how many a week it is in wages for the guy to show us some decent bits against Wolves.
That's exactly the same thing that happens with Richarlison. Same shit happens with Richarlison. Yeah. People go, he wasn't that bad. True. He wasn't that bad against Luton. He wasn't that bad against Sheffield United. Oh, sorry, we paid 60 million for not that bad.
Also, no?
Whoa. Yeah, you're true. All right, to finish it off then, on the basis of, because Henry brought it up, there is this noise out that Tottenham want Rafinha. I love Rafinha. I think he's absolutely class player. But the story was Tottenham were willing to pay 70 million euros, 61 million pound for him. That's never going to happen. Rafinha for Romero is the second story. I don't know if there's any truth to it, but then maybe you can bulk in Lo Celso as part of the conversation. Do either of you see Rafinha in a Tottenham shirt? And if so, how does it happen? Does it happen with Romero leaving? Does it happen with Lo Celso? Does it happen with Cash? What's the story there?
No, I categorically 1,000,000% this will not. Romero will not leave. Being promoted to our vice captain. On paper, him and Van der Ven are the best defenders at the football club. They've built a partnership now. Rafinha is good, but if you look through his career, his best numbers have been in a Leeds shirt. When he's just about scraping them up to keep him above going down into the Championship. He's gone to Barcelona. It hasn't really worked out. His first season was okay. I think he got 9 assists, but if it was a straight deal, maybe 25, 30 million for Rafinha, 40 million max. But they want 70 million euros. Plus, he's on 280,000 euros a week. He'd come in and be our highest paid player. He's not going to want to take a pay cut.
Never happening, is it? Never happening.
Not only that, he wants to play in the Brazil team. He's not going to come and try and fight for his position at Tottenham with Brandon Johnson and Kulu that can play either side, knowing that he's going to start for Barcelona week in, week out. Like, I'm not. I'd rather say there's Giovanni Lo Celso and 25 million quid.
I don't think you'll get 25 million. Listen, I genuinely believe that Tottenham have got such a stain on the quality of the players that we want to get rid of that I think that we'd be lucky to get 12 million quid for Lo Celso.
Sure, I mean, last year wasn't the debate where we were there, I think that, what was it, Villarreal, where he's on loan, we're trying to get him for nothing to see if Tottenham negotiate that, and so, look, I think we'd be lucky to get Ant for Lo Celso. He definitely ain't going to Barcelona, make way for Rafinha. I can tell you that now. Look, at Tottenham, we have to realise we have to pick these players before they end up at Bayern Munich, Real Madrid, Barcelona. We have to get them before they go there. The boat was missed when he was at Leeds and they ended up at Barcelona. That's when we missed the boat. Ain't happening.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, consensus ends. No Rafinha in the Tottenham shirt. It's a shame, because I absolutely adore the player. I think he's absolutely delicious to watch on the ball. And I think Tottenham we've got 95 wingers and not one of them can take a man on. Rafinha.
Oh, sorry. I thought you meant Lo Celso for a second.
No, Rafinha. Listen, mate, if you can't see what Lo Celso's doing, mate, you can F off down to get the premium pack on FIFA,
I'd rather get a premium pack than watch him.
All right, guys.
That is the end of the show. Oh, sorry, Dave. No, it's not the end of the show. Dave's got something else to say. Come on, Dave.
Last one. What about that young Swedish kid that signed for CAA-based agency, Rooney Berzagli? Apparently he's supposed to be the next big thing in Swedish football. Look, I bought him in Football Manager and FIFA the last couple of seasons. He's absolutely brilliant.
What's his name?
Rooney Berzagli. I think I butchered the last name, but you'll see it. Fabrizio Romano put out a tweet about earlier on that he signed for CAA base. A lot of Spurs players, they're with CAA. Yeah. So I wonder, could we look at maybe bringing this kid in, because he is a right winger as well.
Where does he play currently? I've never heard of him.
He plays with Copenhagen, scored the winner against Man United.
Oh yeah, sorry. Okay. Yeah, I know you're talking about. Yeah. It looks really good. Look, he's a CAA. Listen, I think Tottenham fans need. I say it all the time. Every time Tottenham are linked with a player and there's a CAA base thing, I'm like, oh, there you go, the CAA base. It makes it really easy. I'm not sure it makes it. It's not necessarily that easy, just because the agents have got a connection. But
I'd say there's a move on the cards to the UK. That's what I would say if he's signing with them.
Listen, I'm cool. I think it looks very interesting. There's so many wingers out there. So last thing I'll say, and then we'll round off, is it's difficult to find a very talented left-footed, left-sided centre-back. It's very difficult to find a wing-back that can play inverted and play the high line and get forward. It's very difficult to find a monster number 6 that can do everything you need and cover the ground without a partner in crime in a double pivot. What it's not difficult to do is to find a left winger or a right winger who can take a player on. They are chalk and cheese in every league. Every team has them. And yet Tottenham have got 950,000 wingers and not one of them can take a player on. And it's a problem for me. Needs to be solved. Guys, we're going to round it off.
The problem is the end product. Like, you have 20 Adamas across Adama Traores across every league, but there's no end product there. And that's the problem. It's about finding one with the end product, with the end ball.
100%. Couldn't agree more. Dave, the end product from you, my man, is to let everyone know where people can find you, buddy.
Yeah, look, you guys can find me over at the Irish Hotspur. Be honest, I'm a bit of a weirdo. I get that invested into content. At times it gets too much, so I take a bit of a step back. Been on that buzz recently, but I will be back putting out a lot more content now that Tottenham are back. So yeah, if you haven't, get over and subscribe. If not, F off down the Emirates. But what I will say is to everybody, please show the love across all 3 channels. All 3 of them. Smash the likes on all 3, smash the subscribe on all 3, and let's all grow together.
100%. A rising tide lifts all boats. And not just these 3 channels, but every Tottenham channel. right? If you type into YouTube Tottenham fans or Tottenham content, whatever, every single there's hundreds of us. Smash a like and subscribe on every single channel. But with this particular video in particular, obviously get over to the Irish Hotspur. And if you're already on the Irish Hotspur, then make sure you click the links to my channel, Spurs Talk Show, and Henry Wright. Henry, where can people find you, mate?
Yeah, you can find me effing off down the Emirates at Henry Wright TV. Get over to Dave at Irish Hotspur and Sean at Spurs Talk Show. If you're on my channel, their links are in the title. Vice versa. It's been a good show. I just cannot wait for Premier League football to be back. And what a game we have at 12:30 on Saturday, Man City versus Liverpool. That is going to be tasty, and I cannot wait. These international breaks are, it's just a reason to meet to the missus, to be honest with you. No, I'm joking. But yeah, like the video, subscribe to all the channels on the way out, and we will see you all soon.
That's it, guys. Same for me. If you're watching it here, make sure you're on the Spurs Talk Show, hit the like, but then make sure you get in the title, do the same thing. Go to Irish, go to Henry, smash the like, smash the subscribe. We'll see you whenever we see you on everyone's channel. Thanks for everybody. Thanks for let me just quickly say massive thank you to Al Ben, to D Sinclair, to Blaine, to SOF, to Blaine once again, and to Oben, and to all the members of all of the channels who's been dialing in this evening. Hopefully Tottenham are not going to be. Why can't I get rid of one of these? What's going on? There you go. It's gone now. We're going to leave it there. Like, subscribe, and comment. And as always, come on, you Spurs.
Come on, you Spurs.